Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're fantastic. I am well. I just got back from the store. I got like a bunch of junk food, like ice cream and chips and stuff. Think I need more fat right now. I got like nuts and plenty of nuts. But anyways, so I did that, but I also had to get a couple more vapes, but just to make sure I didn't run out. But anyways, I got a ride this time because I was like, it was a little bit iffy last time. So I got a ride. So that was good because it was actually a lot further than I thought. It would have been a long walk, like a super long walk. So, anyways, that worked out well. And when I was in the car, I was singing that song. When the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bay. Ooh, I wanna be there in my city. Oh. Anyways, so I was singing that song and it reminded me of my first trip to San Francisco. San Francisco and I have had a long love affair. And I thought I would tell you this story. So, when I was a kid, I think I was 14. Nope, I was 16. It was the summer after my junior year. And I went to Pine Knob. My daughter's been to Pine Knob, as a matter of fact, to a show, not last summer, but the summer before. Anyways, I went to Pine Knob for a Grateful Dead show. This would have been 91, 92-ish, somewhere in there. I graduated in 93, but I'm not good with figuring out dates. But I think that, somewhere in there. Probably 92. Anyways, Deadheads like to know that because they're like, oh, I was at that show. But anyways, so at that show, I had recently broken up with a guy that was just like, just another mistake. But anyways, at this show, he was getting on my nerves so bad, and he was friends with all my friends. Like, it was just terrible. It was terrible. So I couldn't hang out with him anymore. So I like literally just stood up and walked down to the front of the crowd, right in front of Phil Lesh, because he plays bass, and bass is what I dance to bass. I love the bass. So I went into they call it the Phil zone. Okay, so I went into the Phil zone and I saw this guy down there. He was just looking at me just with the nicest, sweetest smile. His name was Liam. And I was just like, okay, I just went and sat down with him because I was just like, honestly, I'm like, any friendly face I was happy to see. And Liam and I hit it off. And he lived in San Francisco. So he like had a place there. And so I decided to go with him to San Francisco because, well, it was the end of tour. I think there's Deer Creek left, and then Deer Creek was the last show or something. Maybe one more. I forget. But anyways, so I was going to finish out tour with him and his friends, and then we were going to go to San Francisco one way or another. And so I hitched a ride with them, and we ended up, after the shows, after tour was over, we ended up going to, there was a rainbow gathering in Colorado that year. They have one every year, every summer. I've only been to one. One was enough. But we went to this rainbow gathering, and it's trippy. Okay, I gotta say, it's pretty trippy. You walk into the place and you just hear like everyone yelling from everywhere, like, welcome home. And it's kind of cool, you know what I mean? It's pretty cool, but like everybody's trying to get you to donate all your stuff. Like, give us your stuff. And what else? I ended up giving away all my stuff. Um, Pretty much. I don't know. Like, I gave away most of my stuff before I left the Dead show because I was on this thing of like, I didn't want stuff. And I was sick. I don't know. I gave away a lot of stuff. I'm not going to tell you everything I gave away. But I gave away a lot of stuff before we even left the show. As a matter of fact, the people I was hitching a ride with were like, you did what? Like, we need gas money and stuff. I was like, oh, sorry about that. Anyways, so I gave away my watch at the Rainbow Gathering because I noticed I was looking at my watch nonstop the whole time. And it was like, I'm in the middle of the woods. Like, you had to hike like 4 miles just to get to where everybody's camping anyway. I think it was actually 7 miles. It was a long flipping way, okay? And the whole time I'm looking at my watch. And I'm laughing at myself like, what do you need to know what time it is for? It does not make sense that you are just staring at your clock. So I gave my watch away, and I've never worn a watch since. Like, that's when I gave up keeping time because I realized how dumb it was. But there were a lot of really cool people there. A lot of kids from tour that had come off. There's kind of like 2 different groups at Rainbow Gatherings. There's like rainbow hippies, and then there's like tour kids. And the rainbow hippies kind of hate the tour kids in a way. I mean, honestly, it's a kind of a battle or something between them because the tour kids are kind of there trying to make a couple bucks, you know. They aren't as clean, I guess, but I gotta say, after Grateful Dead shows, everybody would pick up the place. Towns loved Deadheads because they would pick up the venue before they leave. I mean, yeah, they find a lot of ground scores that way, but they do pick up the garbage. Oh, I taught my son about ground scores. He found all kinds of cool stuff. He found these like, I don't know, these cool sunglasses, just all kind. You just find all kinds of cool stuff. But anyways, so when we get there, we didn't really know, we'd never been to a Rainbow Gathering. And so there's like different camps, okay? And this one camp is called Fairy Camp. And, you know, I like fairies. So I'm like, let's camp in Fairy Camp. That's got a good vibe to it. So we set up camp in Fairy Camp, and that night we're making out. I mean, we were a new couple. We just met pretty much, and we're making out by the fire, and somebody goes, I have to see this in the real world. Do I have to see this here too? And I'm like, what? And then I'm looking around, and then I see the naked guy dancing, and like, you know what I mean? And I was like, whoa, we're in Fairy Camp. Yeah, we ended up staying there for the whole 3 days we were there. We just quit making out in public. But anyways, there's this one thing that they do at Rainbow Gatherings, and that's they have the main circle, which is where everybody that donates food, like it goes to the main camp first, main circle, and then they'll distribute it to other camps. But usually they keep most of it, and they just make meals for everybody with it. And so there's always a meal made, like a hot meal made by, you know, some nice hippies that are, you know, that they love to do that. So, and you go and you get that, they'll do like a big pot. It's almost like a prison meal. It's like a big pot, and they have a scoop, and you bring a cup, I think, or something. You figure it out. And so anyways, each camp would also have their own separate meals too. But anyways, one night I went down to the main circle to have something to eat. But they would always have, and it's just like soup kitchens do this too. They hold you hostage before they give you free food, and they make you listen to shit. They do that at Rainbow Gatherings too, at Main Circle. So anyways, they have this thing where if you're holding the feather, then only you talk. And you get to talk as long as you want until you're not holding the feather. And there's a lot of self-righteous hippies out there, okay? I'm just gonna put it out there that are long-winded and have all kinds of shit to say about the environment and this and that, and you know, just everybody, you know, that's not acting right and this and that, and it's like really honestly annoying. It's like the news here, right? So but finally, you know, somebody else gets the feather and you get to hear their bitch. And the next lady's bitch was great. I mean, it was just classic, I'll say. She's upset. Okay, this lady's topless, by the way. I won't say most, but probably about 25% of the women there were topless. But she's really upset because men are looking at her breasts. She's like, you pigs. Da, 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 like going off. And I was just like, lady, put a shirt on. It just solved the problem right there. You know, I prefer to have my shirt on unless I'm getting paid, but that's just me. So, yeah, that was a funny story. So after about 3 days of that, I'd had enough. And I'm like, let's go to San Francisco. But we didn't have a ride anymore because the ride we had, the car was like, originally they were going to San Francisco, but they had to like stop, get jobs, and fix the car before they could keep going. So, and they were stopping in Denver. And I just, honestly, I wasn't in the mood. I wanted to go to San Francisco. I'd never been there before that I could remember or whatever. And I just really wanted to go. So, plus he had a house there. So I just wanted to be like, you know what I mean? Like not homeless in Denver. So anyways, we go down to the parking lot. You know, we hike all the way down from the camping area and we go down to the parking lot and we're looking for a ride and there's like a long line of people. There's like 10 people looking for a ride, okay? And it's like, okay, you stand in line. You're not going to just run up to cars that are going out. Like you're in line. Like we are civilized people here, okay? So I'm thinking, I don't like this. Like, it's going to take too long. So I start running around the parking lot and I'm trying to find people that look like they're in their car, getting in their car, that kind of thing. And I find this dude, this crazy old dude, okay? Long hair, very eccentric, wearing all like tie-dye, electric, real bright, real loud and boisterous. And I said, hey, are you leaving? And he goes, he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, I'd be up for just about anything. I said, would you be up for going to San Francisco? And he's like, if you can get 10 gas riders with like, I think it was $10 a piece or $20 a piece. He goes, I'll take you to San Francisco. And it was just like, are you kidding me? There's a whole line. There's like 10 people right standing there. I just walked over there. Who wants to go to San Francisco? Who's got $20? And everyone's like, yep. And we were in the car and moving within 5 minutes on our way to San Francisco. This guy he was the only one that drove. He wouldn't let anyone else drive, but he was up the whole time. I don't know if he was on drugs or not. He didn't seem like it. He seemed like, honestly, like an ascended master. But the whole time he was like, nobody wanted to sit up front with him. Everyone wanted to sit in the back of this cargo van, like on the steel, rather than sit up front with him because he lectured you. He like yelled and he talked about Kundalini and what is that? Tantric sex. And he was talking about like how you shouldn't orgasm and he just kept on going, listen to me, I'm a genius. And it was just so funny because I knew this guy was really smart and I knew he was speaking the truth, but I was just like, but nobody gives a damn. That's kind of how I feel right now. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a damn. I know what I'm talking about, just nobody gives a damn. So there's that. So, well, you guys do. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. So anyways, we finally did get to San Francisco and I spent the rest of the summer there. And I really wanted to stay, but I couldn't because, well, I could have, but I wanted to finish high school because like I had like a 3.7, 3.8 GPA. I was like, one of my goals was to go to college, to ace everything I could possibly ace. And I wasn't an overachiever. I just did like homework in this class before it was due, but I did it, and I did it. And so I didn't even know if I was going to college at this point because I didn't have the money, and nobody had even told me there's the option of loans or anything like that. Like nobody, or Pell Grants, nothing like that. I thought I was screwed because my family told me I was screwed. They weren't paying for it. So, but anyways, I wanted to keep the option open. And so I called my mom. Well, first I called the school and I asked the school if they could send me my transcripts, and they said they couldn't because I was underage. So I called my mom and asked her to get my transcripts for me so I could finish high school, and she wouldn't. So I went back home to finish high school because otherwise I would have had to wait 2 more years to finish high school, and I don't know why. I didn't want to do that. So that's what happened, and that was the last time. No, that wasn't the last time I saw Liam. Actually, here's a funny story for you. Remember when I told you I got arrested in San Francisco on those 4 felonies and I had to go to jail for the weekend? Well, when I was sitting in jail in the holding cell, I didn't even make it out of the holding. Oh, yes, I did. Never mind. They did put me in main population. But when I was in the holding cell, they have a phone in there, okay? And you can make as many collect phone calls as you want from this phone. And this girl was on the phone. I was in the cell with another girl, and she was on the phone the whole time. And finally she says to me, she's like, don't you want to call somebody? And she's like, I can get off the phone. You want to call somebody? And I was like, there's no one to call. And she was like, are you sure you don't know anybody in San Francisco? Like not one person that could, because I was freaked out in a way because my truck was parked in San Francisco, and you can't park anywhere without getting towed for very long. I mean, it's just any cities like that. So I was worried about that. And then, and she's just like, are you sure you don't know anyone in San Francisco? And I was like, the last time I was in San Francisco was in 92. Okay. And this was in 98 that this happened. So, 98. And so I was just like, I doubt it, and then how I don't have his number or anything. I didn't have anybody's number. She's like, hey mom, she's like, what's his name? She's like, look up this name. And her mom looked it up and he was in the flipping phone book. I was like, no way. No way. Because Liam was a good guy, like a really good guy. I loved that guy, still do. Never, I haven't seen, don't talk to him or anything, but I'm sure he's still great, Anyways, so I'm like, okay, so I get his number and I call him collect, and he accepts my collect call, and he comes to the jail, gets my keys, gets my shit, gets my car, moves it to his house, parks it at his house, and told the guards that he was working, because he used to work down at the Fillmore, and he was like security there or something. And he told the guards to tell me that he was working. He knew I'd be out in a couple days because in San Francisco, it doesn't matter what the weed charge is. They don't stick. Like, juries never found a weed charge guilty ever in the history of San Francisco. At least at this time, that was true. Anyways, Liam knew I was going to be out. He's like, you're going to be out. So he told them, or he told me maybe, I don't know, but somehow he's just like, meet me at the Ministry concert the guards did tell me. They were so sweet. He's like, meet me at the Ministry concert. I'm working the door. So I went there after I got out of jail, and he was working the door, and I got to get into that Ministry concert that night. And I got to get my car back and shit, and just catch up with Liam. He was he had a girlfriend, and she was pregnant, and he was starting a whole family. They have a whole family now. So that was pretty cool, though, to just catch up and just be like, hey, you know, it's so rare that you find people that are just real good people. And that when you see them again, it's just like, it's just such a good feeling, you know? Yeah. So, anyways, I lived up in Twin Peaks. If anybody's from San Francisco here, Twin Peaks has Outlook Point, and it's got the radio tower up there. And thank God I lived there, because when I would go explore the city, I could always find where I lived by looking for the radio towers. But it was a really cool lookout point too. Every night the clouds would roll in so fast that you felt like you were in a jet plane. I used to stand up there with my arms out like I was flying. It was so, as a matter of fact, I still have a picture that I drew of me standing on the top of that mountain flying. That was, I called it freedom. That was my first real taste of freedom, out of Midland, out of my family's black cloud. Then I went back and finished high school, and I met Steve. And then my last day of high school, my car was already packed, and I went down to Louisiana to meet Steve. I lived in Louisiana for a year. I didn't tell you about that. But the drinking age was 18 down there. And so I was 17 when I moved down there. So they never carded me. So it just was nice. I was like over the bar scene by the time I was like 18 and a half. I was definitely over Louisiana by the time I was 18 and a half. When I sobered up in Louisiana, well, what happened was I drank. Steve ended up in jail in West Virginia, and I went down. He ended up going to jail for drunk driving again when he came back up to Michigan to get me, to drive down with me from school. My last day of school, like I said, so I didn't have to drive alone. But I was like cramping from having an abortion, and so he drove for me, and we drove right into a fucking trap. It was insane. So he went to jail there too. And I stayed down in Louisiana and, just got jobs and was holding the fort down. And I was going to the bar a lot. Like, I was just going to see live music. And like I said, I was old enough to drink, basically. And, I was partying. And when one day, like, it hurt, my kidneys hurt. And so I was just like, oh shit, I gotta quit drinking. I don't like it when I get sick, I quit everything. I'm like, wait, what is this? Because my body to me is the most important thing. Like my health and my mental health especially. And that goes with when your physical health goes. So anyways, I quit drinking, and I literally realized that every person that I hung around with was a legit devil worshiper. They were like admitting it to me and stuff. Like it was just another thing. And I don't know if you know about Louisiana, but people do not get murdered in Louisiana. They turn up missing because the swamps will eat anything. And there's scary people like that. They know that. They're scary like that.